You are now listening to Sports Talk 916 with Greg Bull and Coach Greg Veroza.
If you'd like to participate in the show and listen live, there's a number of ways to do it. You can go to the Mixlr app, or you can follow us on Facebook Live every Sunday. You can also go on the Wild.
No, you can't. Don't do it. It doesn't work.
Website
Nope, stop.
and listen to us
No.
Tuesdays
No,
at 3
no,
o'clock
don't listen to us
Eastern,
Tuesdays.
12 o'clock Pacific.
We won't be there.
And if you
You'll
want
be
to
the only one
contact
there.
us, head over to our website at
Good at
sportstalk916.com. There you'll find all of our social media feeds, bonus after-hours content that you won't hear anywhere else.
How long have we not been on the Wildfire Network?
A long time.
Yeah, it tells you how much extra homework we've been doing lately.
Right. And Oscar, yes, that is Sheena on the intro.
Yes. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is. It's Sunday, and I'm not sure what day it is. This is
I'd
Sports.
say he's an idiot.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah, but you know what? That's charged up, so I got to give you good. I got to let you give me some shit.
Yeah.
5 shows in a row.
At least.
Sunday, that means it's Sports Talk 916 time. This is episode number 251. My name is Coach Greg. His name is Mr. Chief, Greg Ball. Together, we're the two-headed monsters of Greg that make up Sports Talk 916.
What's up?
Nothing much, man.
So, quick shout out TJ, Oscar, Tony, all joined in quick. James, what's up, bitch? And Steve, thanks for joining. So, let's jump into things.
What's going on?
How's your week?
A lot of good stuff going on. I started remodeling a condo, and now it's basically walls and floor
Nice.
and cement floor at that. So that's been pretty good. That's been fun. So a little bit of business, a little bit of swimming. Started coaching water polo. I have this no problem where I can't say no to people. So I'm the assistant coach of the El Camino High School girls water polo team.
Can I have $100?
Huh?
Can I have $100?
What, you want my whole salary for the whole season?
Well, no, but you said you don't say no, so I'm trying to teach you how to say no to people.
Fuck no.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Boom.
What about you?
Nothing. Work and kids' birthdays.
Kids'
And
birthdays
I
and
had
coleslaw.
coleslaw plug in the sink. I had 8 kids, 8 under 12-year-old girls spend the night here Friday night. That was interesting.
No wonder you don't have any hair left.
Yeah, no shit. But no, it's been good. Nothing too crazy to report. So
Yeah.
Let's jump into a few things here. Let's where do we want to start? Let's spin the wheel.
You
Where do
tell
wanna
me.
go? Let's start with baseball. We're gonna
I think
start
that's a good place to start.
with some interesting topics around baseball, and that is the fighting aspect of baseball and the retaliation pitch and the suspensions that come along with it, because it seems to be a pretty big debate and controversy surrounding a couple aspects of that. So the first aspect of it was the Giants-Dodgers game earlier in the week, game 2 of the series. Yasiel Puig, who we've both talked about when he's right and he's playing, he's playing good baseball and his head's in it, that he's a player that you wouldn't be upset about if he's on your team. But when he's not right, he's basically DeMarcus Cousins in a
Right.
way. And you have to sift through the good and the bad. Well, in this game against the Giants, Puig missed a slider that he thought he was going to hit. He fouled it straight back. He threw his bat up in the air. I don't know who the hell is calling me. Threw his bat up in the air, grabbed it, in an angry fashion, and yelled at us, an expletive that was directed at him. He's walking around being the diva that he typically is, and Nick Hundley says, "Quit bitching and get back in the box." Puig obviously didn't like that. He got in Hundley's face. Hundley got up out of his crouch, got in his face. And Hundley basically said, "Get the fuck out of my face." And that pissed Puig off. Puig said after the game that he didn't like the fact that Hundley was telling him what to do, so he snapped.
Well, Puig has a chip on his shoulder about the Giants anyway. He hates the Giants. He's kind of the embodiment of the Giants Dodgers rivalry, and it's not the first time, and he's a hothead, and he's just got to chill out a little bit.
Right. So, so they get into it. He shows Hundley. The bench is clear. Everyone comes out, and the coaches, like I said, get into it. He gets tackled down. He comes back and throws another punch at Hundley, connecting.
It was a bitch slap. It wasn't a punch.
And they both get tossed from the game, which I thought was interesting. I don't understand why Hundley necessarily got tossed.
He kind of started it.
He kind of started it, but at the same time, like, he was never the aggressor. Verbal shit happens all the time, but I get it. You throw the two guys out that were involved. After the game, Puig said, I'm going to appeal whatever suspension they give me. Well, it's been a week, and there's been no suspensions dished out, which I think is...
Did he? Puig got 2 games.
Oh, okay, he did get 2. I didn't even see that.
Puig got 2 games.
Which he's going to appeal. Or he said he was going to appeal. Maybe he doesn't because it's only 2. But it leads me to ask about the handling of that with Major League Baseball. Since this was 2 position players, Puig gets 2 games. It's actually 2 games, right? And they suspend him. But if it was like, let's say, a 10-game suspension, he would appeal that, and then he would get to play during the appeal until they make a decision on it, which could take however long. And then in most cases, Major League Baseball, if it gets close to the playoffs, goes, okay, well, we're just going to roll it over to next year, which is stupid. Like, you should be penalized for whatever you do. Now, how do you think 2 games is proper for what happened, or is that just a part of baseball that guys get heated and
see? I'm all right with the fights, and there was some because I think it's only a few guys. It's not everybody else, and. Did you hear the thing that McCutcheon did from his house on? I think it was on.
That's
Instagram.
What I'm looking for right now.
That was freaking hilarious.
It's fucking awesome.
But I don't mind the fights. If they want, there's an easy way to curb this whole thing. And what you do is you say, anybody comes out of the dugout, anybody comes out of the bullpen, they're automatically ejected from the game.
Except for coaches. I think coaches should be allowed to come out and be mediators in the whole situation.
Right. But
and there were, hold on one sec, there were Giants fans that on Twitter and Facebook were calling for the head of the Dodgers coach that ended up getting in between them and taking Hundley to the ground, number 29, whatever their or 49, whatever their coach's name is. I don't know his name. But to me, that's what he's supposed to do.
Right.
He's not the enemy in this. There's no one that's ever going to be like, oh my God, let's throw a punch at the coach, unless it's, what was his name, throwing down, unless it's throwing down the old guy from New York. But
look at the hockey guy.
Right.
Throw the gloves down. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly right.
But you notice when Hundley did get in the fight, he was smart. He didn't take off any of his gear.
No, he left it all on.
And there's some stupid catchers or like football players who take their helmets off to get in the fight. It's like, why? If you want to, baseball doesn't want to stop fighting. Right. They want to keep it going. It's obvious because, like I said, the easiest way to stop it would be anybody comes out of the dugout, anybody comes out of the bullpen, you're automatically suspended. And you do that. I'm not going to fight 1-on-9. I'm not going to – it's just not going to happen. So they can stop it if they want to. I think it's a big part of the game. It's kind of fun. Nobody really ever gets hurt except people that get in on the 2 guys that usually start it hardly ever get hurt. It's usually somebody who's dancing with somebody else out in the crowd. I wish you could find the McCutcheon thing.
I'm looking for it. I'll find it.
That was cool.
Don Zimmer with Pedro throwing him down to the ground.
Yeah.
So there's that. But let me ask you this then. The other side of it, and I get fighting. You have a bunch of guys, high tensions, whatever it's going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about there's 2 more sides of it. There's the retaliation where, like Bryce Harper, right, shows up Hunter Strickland, flips his bat, points his bat at him, does all that other shit, and Strickland retaliates with the fastball to his back. They brawl.
See, I'm all right with that.
See, to me, that's part of baseball.
I'm
That's
all right with
always
that.
been a part of baseball.
I'm all right with that.
But what about what happened in Atlanta the night after the Giants-Dodgers fight?
Completely unacceptable, and they should throw him out of the game.
Marcus Ozuna,
Ronald
Ozuna, the young phenom for Atlanta, dude's going to be phenomenal. Hits, 5 home runs in 5 straight games?
Yeah.
And the Marlins and Don Mattingly, who denies having any existence in this, which we all know is bullshit, throws directly at him, first at bat of the game.
and hits him in the elbow.
Plunks him, and bench is clear, and there's a fight. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's part of the game.
No, it's not.
When someone's just good, you don't throw at them. You try to find a way to beat him. Now, I think that side of things needs to be completely renewed and reviewed when it comes to suspensions, because the joke around baseball, and most of the times a fight occurs between pitcher and batter. It's not like the Giants one where it's catcher-batter.
I think James sent us the link to it.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, bud.
So there's usually something between, pitcher-batter, not necessarily batter-catcher or another position players. And Major League Baseball decides, okay, well, you're the starting pitcher, let's say, and you throw the ball at me, the batter. I go out and I punch you in the face. I get 3 games. You get 5 days. Right?
Well,
For a starting pitcher, that's 1 start.
and it could be 0 starts because they just move it back.
If they have an off day, jump them back.
Or they move them back 1 game. They switch the rotation around. It doesn't make any sense. I always thought, if you're going to give a player 3 games, then you give a starting pitcher 15 days.
Yeah, you give them 3 starts.
You give them 3 starts.
And I think that's part of the issue with Major League Baseball is these players know that the suspensions aren't going to really do anything. It's not going to be something where it's like, oh my God, it's going to impact us at all. Like you said, okay, well, Bumgarner's going to get suspended for 5 days. He's going to miss a start. You know what? His shoulder's a little fatigued. We're just going to bump him back. Cueto's going to start. He's going to move.
And all you do is you just switch him around with the guy who's supposed to start on the 6th day, and he doesn't miss anything. He doesn't miss a start. It doesn't make any sense. They need to change. That's something that baseball needs to change. But the retaliation against some guy who's just hot, who's on fire, is completely unacceptable.
Absolutely.
The retaliation. I mean. The retaliation of somebody who shows you up, most of the time those guys are hitting somebody in the back or they're hitting somebody in the ass. And yeah, it's a fastball. And,
which is the way to do it, by the
right,
way. If that ball elevates, then you have a problem.
But not throwing at the head, not throwing at the neck, not throwing at the elbow or the shoulder. You throw to the butt. And, I think as effective thing to do would be just throw behind him. Just throw behind him. And it's going to say the same thing that, hey, we don't want this. Knock it off. And you just throw it behind him or over his head or something, but you don't throw at his head. You don't throw at his elbow and risk hurting some guy's career. It's stupid and it needs to be taken out. He needs to be suspended for 30 or 40 games. You do that once, you fine the guy half his salary or whatever, it's going to stop it. But Major League Baseball doesn't want to stop this because we're talking about it. And they want people to talk about Major League Baseball, and people are going to talk about this. So, Major League Baseball's fucked up. And they're still trying to get caught up from all the crap that Bud Selig created, which is a whole nother thing, him being in the Hall of Fame. And he completely screwed baseball up, but that's a whole other story.
For sure. I found the McCutcheon thing. Matt B. Davis from Obstacle Racing Media is giving me shit that he hasn't been on the show yet. We're gonna get you on, Matt. We tried before, and
what's he on?
Super busy. Obstacle Racing Media. He's one of the largest, if not the largest, obstacle racing podcast. He brings all the exclusive content and race reviews, and has all the big interviews. He's a cool guy. Hopefully, get him on maybe as World Toughest Mudder approaches and get some information on there.
Can we do no, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
So let's listen to Andrew McCutcheon's recap of the Puig Hunley fight. If Twitter will let me. Hold on. Come on.
They're buffering.
Buffer.
Still buffer.
But anyway, I know y'all probably want to know about that brawl last night. So I'm gonna talk about it. I was in right field chilling, right, thinking about my last at bat, how that pitch was outside. He called it a strike, and it should have been a walk. But we ain't gonna talk about that, right? So I'm looking down at my feet. Next thing you know, I hear the fans. I'm like, what are they? What's going on? So I look up. Puig and Hunley, they going at it. Next thing you know, I feel a breeze, kind of feel like a light tornado just going right by me. It's the bullpen. I'm like, dang, my reaction time is way off. So I'm like, shoot, let me catch up with these people. By the time I got there, we was all just chilling, staring at each other.
This is the funniest part right here.
And literally, I thought about brightening the mood, and I was just going to get in a karate pose. Like, come on. I didn't do it. And that was it. That's basically most brawls, for outfielders anyway. But by the time you get there, it's over. So you just ran and got tired. Being in the outfield during a brawl is equivalent to a little kid showing up to a birthday party late. It's like you coming in all excited, and they're already wet, and they're eating cake. Dang, Mom, why you? But it's all I got. So that's what happened. That's what I did. And it's just play baseball, not fight. I guess. I don't know.
That was good.
Yeah, I love it.
I heard Steven Duggar was on the radio, and he pretty much had kind of the same take on it. Like,
and he's further away.
yeah, he's like, yeah, I was just kind of looking around, looking at my feet, and I looked up and I see the bullpen going towards home plate, and I thought, oh shit, I better get down there. And he was talking about him and McCutcheon were trying to decide what kind of karate pose they were going to get into. And
that's funny.
Yeah.
So James says Giants 7 games out of the wild card, should have traded Mad Bum. If they sign him in the offseason for $200 million, he'll be a Giant for life. Could have gotten 3 or 4 of someone's top 10 kids.
Yeah, I disagree. Sorry.
I think the only way that you can trade Madison Bumgarner is if you have an agreement, and I don't mean just a verbal. I mean like
You can't. That's collusion.
Then you have an understanding that, hey, we're going to get rid of you, but we're going to bring your ass back.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's
okay,
collusion.
so the Yankees should be fined a shitload of money for colluding with Aroldis Chapman when he went to the Cubs and then came back.
No, absolutely.
So just when you're getting ready to release him, go in the room and just go, hey, man, we got some bad news. We're being traded. I just want to leave you with these parting words. Aroldis Chapman. And let him leave. Don't even talk about it. He's going to know. Get those top prospects and then bring Bumgarner back in the offseason when he's a free agent. And
you're going to get Mike Barnbaum a heart attack with talking about collusion.
Right. I'm going to get fined for tampering. Right.
I don't know. I don't know that you can get the kind of payoff that you want for Bumgarner.
Let me ask you this. We're past the non-waiver deadline, right? Playoff races are heating up, and A's fans, I see you guys on here. We're going to talk A's here in a minute because you can't not talk Oakland Athletics. Do you put Bum on the waiver wire and see what someone throws at him?
I'm sure they already have. They do it all the time. They don't let you see the waiver wire. And, listening to – who was I listening to? Who's the guy that's on KMBR at night with Drew Hoffer?
I don't know.
He used to be a Giant. Anyway, he was talking about how interesting it would be to see the waiver wire because nobody gets to. And he said, guys, they put people on there all the time. I'm sure back in the day, they put Barry Bonds on the waiver wire just to see what other teams are planning, see if anybody makes a claim. They can pull them off. It's just a way to kind of see what's going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's been on the waiver wire a couple times.
If let's say a young up-and-coming team that has just a robust amount of prospects, the Yankees call, and go, hey, we have some top pitchers, blah, 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 whatever, some outfielders that can hit. Do you want them for Bumgarner? Do you even consider? I mean, the Giants are 7 out of the wild card. They're drifting away in the West. They should have made moves at the deadline, and they didn't. You have enormous amounts of money coming off the books at the end of this year, which is going to put them in line for, to flirt with Bryce Harper's and some of those players out there. Why not start retooling? I mean, the Giants are maybe with Bumgarner and the roster that they have now, and this is the most italicized maybe I can put out there. They maybe have 1 year of being healthy to make another playoff run before they have to blow this thing up. They brought in way too much old players. They're relying too heavily on mediocre young talent that they've raised, i.e. Brandon Belt.
You can't say Brandon Belt is mediocre.
Brandon Belt has been okay. Let me rephrase that. Brandon Belt is fantastic talent with mediocre results. Belt is about as hot as cold as a damn ice cube. He doesn't produce. It's ridiculous, and the fact that the Giants threw so much.
I'm gonna argue with you there that he does produce. The problem with
3 weeks at a time.
The problem with him is he can't stay healthy.
Okay, so why would you throw a max deal at him like they did?
Well, that was.
You don't. I mean, there was so much more out there than the Giants. The Giants had offers for Brandon Belt 3 years in a row that they could have traded his ass and got something for him. But they're so damn loyal, and they wanted that homegrown infield. How about you get me a quartering outfielder that can hit the damn ball?
Yeah.
I love McCutchen. Don't get me wrong. I was on the McCutchen trade from the jump.
We both were.
But you need another outfielder. Williamson came up and showed promise, and then he went right back to being Mac Williamson, the minor leaguer. And then Duggar, I think, is going to be a great center fielder for a very long time. But there's just nothing else in the pipeline that fixes this Giants offense.
So Bumgarner's 29 years old.
Right, old.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't think I want to give up on this team as a whole. I just think that.
Do me a favor. Look up 2 other contracts for me. Samardzija and Cueto.
Well, yeah. Samardzija's contract that turned out to be a bust.
So Samardzija is going to be a bust. We were super high on that because they got him cheap when they signed Cueto. Cueto, I think, can bounce back, but he's going to take another year now because he had Tommy John. Vegas runs as free Joey Votto. The Giants could have made a run at Votto a couple years ago too and had him at first base.
So he's 6 years, $130 million. Average salary is $21 million.
Free agent 2023 for Cueto.
Yeah, and that was, remember, he had a player option.
Yeah, which
they could have gotten. He took the player option at the end of the free agent signing this year.
Right,
and that
extended him a long time. So the Giants are, for lack of a better term, a mess. The Dodgers are finally hitting their stride. It looks like the Dodgers and Diamondbacks are going to make a.
I'm gonna play the what if game for a second.
Sure.
So what if Cueto stays healthy, and what if Bumgarner doesn't take a line drive off his fingertip? Does that make a difference in this team? The way Cueto was pitching the first 4 or 5 starts of the year.
Well, the way Cueto was pitching, he was lights out. He was.
So if they stay healthy, does that make a difference on this team?
I don't think it does.
See, I think it makes a big difference.
I don't, because after those 2, you have Samardzija, who hasn't been anything since they signed him.
I didn't say Samardzija stay healthy.
Right, but I'm looking at the rest of the rotation. You can't win 2 out of 5 games.
It's not pitching that's the problem with this team. It's not pitching that's the problem. It's they can't hit.
Okay,
they have an outfield that are a bunch of singles hitters.
Let me finish, because I want your opinion on what I was about to say. You have Samardzija, who's a bum. I'm looking at the rotation that started the season. You had Derek Holland and you had Ty Block.
Right.
If Cueto, Samardzija, and Bumgarner didn't get hurt, you don't have Andy Suarez and Derek Rodriguez come up, who ultimately are the reason that pitching isn't bad in the Giants organization right now.
Yeah, but do you think Samardzija would have stayed in the rotation?
Yeah, but
Really?
he's too damn loyal to the guys the veteran guys. But he wouldn't have gone anywhere. They would have moved him back to 4 or 5, and they would have done the Barry Zito treatment on him. Just get us 5 innings and hope that the bullpen helps.
Yeah, I mean, I still think at some point you bring those guys up because I don't think Smarja Block wasn't doing anything. Smarja wasn't doing anything. I think at some point those guys come up anyway, and now, you know, you have a rotation with Suarez and Rodriguez and Holland and Bumgarner and Cueto. That's a pretty good start. Again, pitching isn't the problem with this team. The problem is they can't score runs. They have to win 2-1 in the 9th inning. They cannot score, and if they score 13, then they end up giving 13 up the next day. So it's inconsistency, but they can't hit.
That's true.
They need a right fielder and a left fielder that can hit, that are a power option. And in today's game, you have to hit. I mean, you got guys in Oakland hitting 25 home runs that you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
So you have to do something with the money coming off the books. Pence is a bust. He's done.
I wouldn't call Pence a bust.
He's not a bust.
Pence just got old.
He got old. Yeah, he's done. McCutchen, as much as I like him and I think he's good for the team,
He won't be back.
He won't be back. You know, when your best outfielder is a guy who is hitting 12, 13 home runs.
And McCutchen?
No, our center fielder.
He doesn't have 12 or 13.
Yeah, he does.
Duggar?
No, not Duggar.
Oh, Gorky's?
Gorky's.
Duggar's our center fielder. Gorky's has been a platoon guy the last.
Well,
weeks.
Gorky's is. I mean, he's our best outfielder right now. He's our best hitting outfielder. Is Gorky's Hernandez, and when that's the case, you're in trouble.
By the way, I think Gorky's is juicy.
I just think that we need to retool the outfield. I think the infield is effective. I think if you get a couple of outfielders that have legitimate pop in their bats, it's going to change the whole lineup because they're not going to be able to pitch Crawford the same way. They're not going to be able to pitch Longoria the same way because with those guys being the major not distractions, but the things they have to worry about the most. That's not the type of player they are. Crawford is a guy who is your 4th or 5th best hitter who can then they have to pitch to in order to keep other guys off bases or without coming up to bat with a bunch of guys on where they could potentially hit a home run and drive them in. So I think that what this team needs to do is spend some money this year and get some outfielders. Now, if next year they do that and they still suck like this, which they're 500, they're a 500 team, which last year we all would have given
30 games below.
We would have given money to have them be a 500 team. So if next year, if they spend some money and get us a couple of good outfielders that have some pop and that are a legitimate danger to hit home runs every time they're up, and they still are a 500 team, blow it up. But I just don't think you've tried everything you can to keep this team together and put it in a place where it's going to be successful.
All right, let me ask you this then. Do the Giants need to bring in – I like the Longoria trade personally. I think he is he's a good linchpin on this young infield. Do the Giants need to take a book out of the A's playbook or a page out of the A's playbook and change their drafting and scouting mantra? Because the Giants forever have had a heavy emphasis on pitching in the draft,
right,
and then somewhat decent focus on highly touted, position players that don't typically pan out. They don't go for that the last person they took that wasn't a pitcher that was like the bee's knees of everything was Buster Posey. And they took Bart this year, another catcher, which doesn't make a lot of sense unless they're going to somehow convince Posey to move to first. But
Well, the other thing that you have to understand too is since Buster was drafted, they've been so good. They've been drafting at the end of the first round. So that means every draft round, they're picking the worst guy within that particular
Right.
draft level.
Last year they didn't. They took Bart, 1 overall, 2
Well,
overall?
that's what I'm saying is up until last year and the year before, well, no, not even the year before, but for that span from when they drafted Buster in 2009, I think, till last year, they were drafting at the lower middle to the end of every draft round. And you don't have the opportunity like Houston did to draft
Right.
the top player in every round. And I think that makes a big difference.
What I want to see them do is draft position players and focus if they need pitching, focus on free agency. You play in a pitcher's ballpark.
Yeah, but
Sign
I think
the pitchers.
but the pitchers you're going to sign are all going to be 28, 29, 30, 31.
So you sign them to a 1 or 2 year deal, and while you develop the young guys you currently have, you can still take pitchers in the draft, but you're going to take 3, 4, 5 round pitchers, not first, second, third round pitchers. Start getting some guys that can hit the goddamn ball. Develop those guys to be hitters, and while the other pitchers are developing, you use some of that money that you waste on other position players, like the Pat Burrells and the 5-year deals for.
Yeah, but Pat Burrell won us a World Series.
Yeah, did he? 0-19 in the World Series with 17 strikeouts.
He got us there.
Great.
He got us there.
Anyways, Aubrey Huff, those deals. Like there was a lot of players that they could just sign pitchers with that they develop their young guys. Let's look at the Oakland Athletics. These guys have been playing with young position players and pitchers who were taken in mid rounds and playing out of their mind because they've developed and they're playing great baseball. At the start, 2 months ago, the A's were 11.5 games out of first place. As of play today, they're tied with the Houston Astros for first place in the AL West. Playing out of their mind. They've won, let's see here.
Oh, they have the best record in Major League Baseball since the All-Star.
They've won 40 of 53 games since the All-Star break. They're winning games at an astounding
with nobody there.
With nobody. I'm looking at the roster. I'm like, I don't know who the hell any of these guys are. And they're 28th in attendance. Yeah, we've talked about that at nauseum. A's fans need to go out and support their goddamn team. But the A's are playing baseball where it's just they're hitting the ball. They have good pitching. They have a great closer. And they're a no-quit team. These guys literally, if they have to, they wait till the final out and they get it done. And walk-offs, as much as A's fans love them, they're not the way you want to win games.
No.
But the A's do it just fine. So let me ask you, are the A's, are they the real deal? Are they going to make a run at this? Or do you think they're going to kind of fall to the age? Because if the A's make the playoffs and they can take the tarps off the upper deck and they actually, because they're going to show up to the playoffs.
I think they actually took them off already.
Right, but they're going to actually be able to use the seats that don't have tarps on them in the playoffs and generate some revenue. Do you think that the A's will finally turn that corner and win some playoff games, maybe win a series or two? Could they make a run for the World Series? Because
absolutely. And their pitching staff is set up for the playoffs.
But is it going to be enough for A's fans to continue to go to games where they can get that stadium built and sign some of these players? Because when it all comes down to it, A's fans, as happy as they are with the success, and Chris is on, and I think Patrick was on a little bit earlier, I think the biggest thing about it is they're scared to go support, maybe not scared, they're hesitant to go support their team because they know in the back of their mind that Billy Beane's going to come in and go, okay, well, we had a good run. Now let's see what we can get for these guys because they're playing good.
See, I don't think that's the case at all. I think what the case is, why they don't show up, is they've chased all their fans away. It's not that they're scared to show up, that they're going to fall in love with players and they're going to be gone. I think over the last 10 years, those fans have gone away. And what you have are the hardcore A's fans that no matter what are going to go. And there's about 10 or 12, 15,000 of them. Everybody else has been has gone, screw it. I'm either not going to watch baseball anymore, or I'm gonna root for another team that's actually going to be loyal to their players and support them. And I think what's happened, and you see it, and the evidence is that as they get better, more people start showing up. And then all of a sudden you throw in a player going, hey, you guys need to come out. And you're going to get those fringe fans that are jumping on the bandwagon that you guys all hate.
To me, that's embarrassing, by the way, that Chapman has to come out and say, can you
absolutely
please come out and support us?
Absolutely. So all those, all those bandwagon fans and everybody go, okay, look, the A's fans are back. No, they're just going because they're good. And once they go bad again, once they get rid of all their players, they're going to go back to having 6,000 or 7,000 in every game until A's management decides we're going to build this team for the long haul and bring in players and keep players around. And instead of getting rid of their top talent, bring in talent that's going to supplement what they already have. You're going to have the same thing. They're going to keep chasing fans away. Those fans are going to end up going to other teams, and you're going to have to beg and plead for them to come back, and they're not going to come back until you make a run in the playoffs.
Do you think the A's are good enough to get through the Yankees if they make it, or the Red Sox?
It's a one-game playoff. Of course they are.
It's a one-game playoff if they're not a division winner.
If they're not a division winner, right.
The Red Sox are a division leader.
I don't know if anybody can get through the Red Sox this year. They're pretty fucking awesome.
Right. They're the only team better than the A's. Overall, the A's have been
playing better
since the break.
But well, the A's are better since the break, but
Boston
is just crazy good. And they're just winning like crazy, and they're 45 or 50 games over 500 right now.
Yeah, I don't think they've lost this season. Like, I think they've won every game.
Yeah.
But Vegas Ron just mentioned, and I'm sure boys out in Philly would like it. Philly's been playing great. Is Philly a potential contender in the NL? I mean, they've been playing some amazing baseball, and
I think the NL is wide open. I don't think there's not a prohibitive favorite. I mean, in the American League, you're looking at, I'll make a prediction now. It's either going to be the Yankees or the Red Sox in the World Series. I just don't think anybody's going to get by them. If Oakland gets hot, maybe. But tell me who you think is going to be in the World Series in the National League. There is no clear-cut favorite. There's no 2 or 3 teams playing out of their minds. It's just a bunch of teams that are playing steady.
If the Dodgers had a bullpen, I would be hesitant to say that it's not going to be the Dodgers. But they don't have a bullpen to save games.
No.
Let me pull up the standing. I'm not even really sure what we're looking at as far as the
playoff teams are.
The playoff teams are right now.
Atlanta, Vegas Ron and Atlanta is a scary team, and they're going to be scary for a long time. Their minor league system is loaded,
and that would have been
loaded.
That would have been a fantastic place for the Giants to ship Mad Bum off for some young talent. But
I misread your quote. I misread your post, Vegas Ron.
Well, what you said isn't false.
No, absolutely.
And Chris is laughing. You said if Oakland gets hot, how about Oakland stays hot?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because let's not sugarcoat it. Oakland is the hottest team on the planet right now. Vegas runs. Let's see. A's ownership doesn't. This is Tom. A's ownership doesn't have deep pockets, so they're trying to make money instead of spending money.
And they're not doing a very good job of it.
They're being creative with their ticketing and their concessions and all that other stuff, which I think is great. Which is in most cases that would generate excitement for people to come out to, come out to games. But it doesn't work with the A's.
I mean, Oakland has never been a fan draw. I mean, even back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, it also hurts them that they play in a football stadium.
Well, back in the 70s and 80s, that was a new stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, it was built in 68. That's a new stadium back then, and they still weren't drawing. I mean, I just think that Oakland is not a place that will support a Major League Baseball team the way that other areas will. It's just socioeconomically is not like that big word.
I know, right? Word of the day calendar.
All right. They can't support it. There's just not enough money in the area fan base wise to support a team. They can support a football team because it's 8 games.
Right. So National League standings, Atlanta Braves are a half game up on Philly, 7 up on Washington. The Cubs are 4 up on St. Louis, and the Diamondbacks are a half game up on Colorado, 2 up on LA, and 7 up on San Francisco. The NL West, I think, is still wide open. Even
Absolutely.
the Giants can sneak in and get into the NL West. It's their teams are too fluctuating. They don't play consistent enough baseball. As far as the wild card goes, right now the wild card is the Phillies and Cardinals making the wild card. The Giants are also 7 back out of the wild card. I don't think they have a shot in hell. It's funny because I say that they have a chance at 7 back in the West, but they don't have a shot being 7 back in the National League wild card. Simply for the fact that there's no head-to-head match. There's not a lot of head-to-head matchups in that.
So let me.
The Brewers are half game back. The Rockies are a half game back in the wild card. Honestly, I look at it, and to me, the NL is going to be. I think for some reason it's going to be between 3 teams. And I know that's not a fun answer, but I think it's going to be Philly, St. Louis, or Chicago.
Probably. I mean, that's as good as any other guess. Let me address something that Chris said in here. Chris Levine. He said that he lives and works in Auburn, and he doesn't get off work till 5:30 and can't get to Oakland in time to watch a game. Chris, you're not the fan that is going to make or break the Oakland A's. You're an outlying fan. It's just like San Francisco doesn't rely on Sacramento fans to cover them. It's Bay Area people. It's people that live within 10 miles of the stadium. That area, you look at the area around AT&T, people that live 10 to 20 miles away from that stadium that could get there have a lot more disposable income
and get there for like $5.
Yeah, than the people in Oakland, where you look 10 or 20 miles around the stadium. There is just not the same economic base, and that's what it is that supports it. People in Sacramento, people in Auburn, you guys are just add-ons, and I'm saying that in the best way. But you aren't a season ticket holder. You're not going to 30 or 40 games a year. You're going to 4 or 5 when you can make it. And that's not what builds support of a team. It's that base fan that can go to 20 games a year, that can buy the season tickets. Hell, Oakland is getting rid of their season tickets because nobody can buy them, or nobody will buy them.
You get choice selected where you want to sit. Pick a game,
and free games. And they could barely sell out a free game.
And I think that's awesome for the A's to do the whole
absolutely
selective seating. I think that's a fantastic idea. And unfortunately, because Chris says he can't get to games, and there's Patrick Kilkenny's another one of our listeners that's a giant A's fan, huge A's fan. That's just kind of weird. A huge A's fan that doesn't make it to a lot of games. It's unfortunate because those guys being on the outskirts are bigger fans than
absolutely
the quote unquote A's fan that lives in Oakland.
Right.
There's probably more. I would almost imagine, because it's just the Bay Area way of doing things, there's probably more Giants fans in Oakland than there are Oakland fans in Oakland. And I bet you there's more San Francisco, or there's more fans of the A's in the Sacramento and surrounding areas than there are
in Oakland.
Directly in Oakland.
In Oakland, absolutely.
And that's what's disappointing about it is you drive through and you'll see an occasional Raiders flag, and you'll see a lot of Warrior stuff, but
the Warriors are a Bay Area team. There's no competition,
right? And they're going to be they're the only one down there,
right? And even look at the Raiders. The Raiders, as much as I'm not a Raider fan, and I think they're kind of a joke. Raiders fans, the fan base is small but loyal. The A's fan base is small but loyal, and it's a lot easier to travel to a Raider game from Auburn, the 7 games a year, because they usually go somewhere else to play their
and it's
game.
And it's a weekend,
and it's a Sunday, so you can get up and it doesn't start till 1, so You can leave Auburn at 7:00 in the morning and get down there in plenty of time to tailgate and watch the game and be fine. You can't do that 81 times a year.
Mm-mm.
And so it's just a different fan base, and baseball takes a more dedicated fan to support it. And
Right.
you don't have that with Oakland. You have a bunch of fringe fans in the immediate area, and like you said, the most loyal fans, I would say, are probably in the Valley.
Yep. Tom Morgan says the Giants should let them move to San Jose. James says better chance of them coming to Portland than to San Jose. Thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Put them in Portland?
Yeah, put them in Portland.
I think the best idea for the Oakland A's is build a stadium in Oakland.
Well, I mean, yeah, short of moving them. I agree. Vegas Ron says, I lived in the East Bay, too many things to do in the Bay Area, too many options, activities, and it's cut mine off.
It's something called culture, something Sat can't understand just yet.
Yeah, but Ron, the Giants are in the Bay Area, and they've already drawn 2 million fans.
Right.
So what different things are going on in Oakland that are going on in San Francisco?
And most of those things that you mentioned are going on in San Francisco. They're not
Right.
going on in Oakland.
Right. So, it's that's not the case. The case is you look at your fan base within 20 miles of the stadium, or a good 20-minute, half-hour drive. Those are the people that are going to support the team. And you don't have that. They just aren't there. They're either not into baseball, they're more into basketball and football. It's just not, you just don't have the fan. Now, if you build a 35 or 40,000 seat stadium on the water in Oakland, that might make a big difference. Because you're going to get
where they need to build.
you're
their
going to
stadium.
get those people in San Francisco that are A's fans that are going to come over the bridge and not travel deep into Oakland. You're going to get fringe fans that might be able to make a couple of more trips a year because they want to see the stadium, or the stadium itself will be a draw like it is at AT&T, and make it easy for them to get there. It's pretty easy to get to Oakland Coliseum now, but make it easy to get there. I think that you'll probably end up, I think the A's are going to be a 20 to 25,000 person draw all the time.
What they need to do is just build a smaller stadium, put a
Right.
smaller footprint out there, make it a baseball-only stadium, and maybe have a 25,000 seat stadium instead of a 40,000 seat stadium that they can fill, and then take some of the other money that would have went into the infrastructure of building a bigger stadium and put it into more fan-friendly things, or lower concessions, or lower, because they don't have the same cost of building a giant super stadium. Build something a little bit smaller. Let the fans have an experience that's going to be, second to none in a more almost like Arco Arena feel. Like, put the fans right on top of the action and really get them entrenched in the
Or
game.
Golden One center field.
Even more so than Golden One is the way Sleep Train was,
Yeah.
or Arco was. I think that would be great for the A's fans, because then those 15,000 or 12,000 fans that are showing up at games, who are already making noise like there's 50,000 people in that damn stadium, put them all right on top of the action and make that a hell, a place like hell for visiting teams to come in and play at.
And that stadium, you're so far away from the action that is
Right. Why do they have 65 yards of foul territory?
I don't know. Okay, Vegas Ron, I'm gonna talk to you one more time about this. And it says you make a weekend out of starting in San Francisco, a major tourist city. What are you going to do in Oakland after the game?
Go back to San Francisco.
Yeah, but Ron, they draw 42,000 every night of the week. So yes, on weekends you get a lot more tourists, but you have a base of fans that are located in the city that are going to the games. You don't have that in Oakland, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. It's just a fact. They don't have the fan or the fan base.
And to touch on that, when you go to a baseball game in Oakland or San Francisco that starts at 7:05 and the game ends at 10:30 or 11, you know what you do after the game? You go home. You don't go out and do much. Like, it's late. And if you're out of town, you're going to go elsewhere, because you're sure as hell not renting a hotel in San Francisco. That shit will cost you another week's worth of pay. You go home and you enjoy the drive home and you enjoy the win
Right.
or the game that you
Right.
saw, and then you reset and do it all over again. There's not baseball to me isn't as encompassed in a touristy getaway weekend as
It can be.
it can be, but it's not as readily done as a basketball or a football game, which is over a lot quicker. Because you can't like a football game, you can look at a football game and go, okay, you know what? It's going to be about 3 hours long. So it starts at 1. We can expect it to be over at 4. If it goes into overtime, we're looking at maybe 5 o'clock. If we want to go catch a show or a movie at 6 or
get
7
dinner.
or dinner, we can make reservations after the game.
Well, and the other part of that too is the game starts at 1, but you start your experience at 10
Right.
because
but-
you're there tailgating already, and it's built into the game.
But with baseball, a 9-inning game, even if it doesn't go regulation, could go 5 hours. It just depends on what's happening. So you almost can't build an entire weekend around baseball as you can other sports. So that is your destination. That is your plan is, okay, you know what? We're going to go to the game, and if we have extra time, then we'll go do something else. But we're not going to predicate our whole weekend around a baseball game because it's a risky proposition, especially if you buy tickets to like a movie or a show that's non-refundable and you miss half of it because the game goes 15 innings. Unless you're one of those people that are okay with leaving a game that you paid for early.
But that's again, the games are played prime time. They start at 7 o'clock. So that's your primetime entertainment. With football, unless it's a Monday night game and then it's primetime entertainment, you're going to the game and then you're going to dinner afterwards. You're going somewhere. You don't have that option in baseball to do. It's like a Warrior game or a Kings game. Very rarely, I mean, you go out to dinner before if you can get off early enough, but you go to the game. That's your entertainment for the night.
Right.
But there's only 41 of them instead of 82 or 81. So I just think that there's, because of the way the game is played and because of the experience that people have in Oakland, I was just thinking about this. Look at the experience that you have at AT&T versus the experience that you have in Oakland. AT&T's got the little mini field out in left field.
Right.
It's got world-class food all throughout it. It's got views that you can't see anywhere else. It's got, the porch out in right field that you can stand on the walkway. Hell, you can even watch it in a kayak. In Oakland, it's a sterile, old environment with nothing else to do. And while a baseball fan is going to go watch the game and not see anything different, it's that fringe fan. And that fringe fan who wants to take their kids, whose kids aren't going to sit for 3 hours to watch a game, they're going to go out in right field and play on the mini left field. They're going to go play on the mini
and slide
field
the slide.
and slide the slide. There's nothing like that the only attraction at Oakland is Mount Davis. And that's not really an attraction.
Right.
So, I think the first thing that, and Greg said this earlier, the thing that's going to help Oakland the most is to build a new stadium and make it fan friendly and make the stadium an attraction too. And that's what draws people to the Giants is the AT&T Park is an attraction itself, and it's beautiful, and it's got views, and it's got stuff for kids to do, and it's got good food. The only thing you have at Oakland is you have the colossal dog with sauerkraut and mustard that I grew up. I know, right? So, and there's a lot they need to do, but I think they need to build a stadium, and that's going to be their first thing.
So let's do this real quick. Let's pay a bill. Hey guys, I'm excited to announce a new partnership with Antonio Pacheco from Folsom Lake Ford. Tony's been my go-to sales guy for a number of years, and he's come on board to bring the awesome sales buying experience to each and every one of you. All of his information is on our website at sportstalk916.com, but if you're in a hurry and you're looking for a new car, give him a call today. Antonio Pacheco, area code 530-218-7069. He will answer all of your questions in regards to the car buying experience, and he is the main guy that I trust in the Sacramento area for all of your car buying needs. Again, Antonio Pacheco, Folsom Lake Ford, 530-218-7069. I actually got to go see Tony this week, get my both of our cars serviced out there. We skipped over something today that is going to be huge. It's happening this afternoon. The Giants game just started, so that's not what we're talking about. But it is the
WWE weekend.
It is the third year in a row that
Brock Lesnar
is defending his Universal Championship at SummerSlam. It's true. It's damn true.
Brock Lesnar.
And it's interesting because Brock Lesnar is back on the UFC drug testing, and he's getting ready for a fight with Daniel Cormier later on this year.
Brock Lesnar is the picture boy for steroid abuse.
Oh, but,
look at that dude.
But get this. So next time you're on your phone or whatever, Google images of Brock Lesnar from like December and look at him on Monday Night Raw like 3 weeks ago. He's gotten so small. It's amazing because he's back on the UFC drug testing protocol, and dude is almost like little compared to what he was like months ago.
Because the last time I saw him, he looked like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, now he
his face had muscles. That's how big he was. His face had muscles, and he looked like an action figure.
He is definitely still an action figure, but not the Incredible Hulk anymore. He's like, I don't even know. He's just big. Yeah, small for a gorilla. That's a good way to put it. Instead of being a silverback, now he's just a black gorilla.
Chimpanzee.
No, he's bigger than a chimp. But yeah, it's SummerSlam. It's gonna be awesome.
Woo!
A lot of chicks.
Got to rearrange my.
Actually, next month I think it is. It's kind of cool. The WWE actually announced that they're doing a new pay-per-view called Evolution, and for the first time ever, they're doing a 100% women's pay-per-view. So they're putting all the women on display and putting them like marquee matches, and I think that's super cool for them. But yeah, Brock Lesnar is in action tonight.
Lesnar.
So that's just what I thought I would.
Monkeys never claps.
So Brock's gonna stretch out because monkeys
still-
never crap.
That's
It's still. I forgot I even had it on here. That's how good it was. So
This is stupid. I want to talk about vaginas.
last thing we'll touch on. It's fantasy football time.
Yay.
It's a fun time of year. We are doing our live draft for Sports Talk 916. The 26th at 5 p.m. at Buffalo Wild Wings in Citrus Heights. The league is full, 8 people. We got to get our buy-in so we can get our belt bought. And I will be at Citrus Heights Buffalo Wild Wings tonight for another draft in TJ's league.
Oh, thanks, TJ. I missed that invite.
It was, yeah, you didn't want to be in like multiple leagues last year.
I'm in like 4 already. I can't be in anymore.
Yeah, see, so shut the fuck up. So we'll be out there tonight. I haven't done any research, so I'm just gonna wing it. If you ever watch the league when Rafi was in the league, he's like, you just grab people and just throw them on the board. And this guy, that's what I'm gonna do tonight. I just hope I don't take a kicker in like the second round by doing it that method. October is getting closer, almost time for the NHL again. Yeah, Steve, I need you to get that GoFundMe going for my first Sharks jersey. That way I can get it custom made with my name on it because I can't pick a player. I just want to. So I'll support the colors and support the team, but I haven't been around long enough to have a favorite player to wear a jersey. So I like my name and I'm my favorite player. So we'll go there. Anything else you want to cover? Anything
Do
fun
we
going
want to
on?
talk about the roughing the passer penalty? And NFL is turning into flag football.
We
Do I
can.
want to get you started?
If you haven't seen what we're talking about, go look up the Vikings Jaguars game last night. I believe it was a hit on Kirk Cousins. It was probably one of the cleanest tackles I've seen from a linebacker on a quarterback in years. And it was flagged for roughing the passer. And it's a joke that happened. And I'm hoping that it's just a preseason getting the kinks out kind of deal, but that was one of the worst calls that I've seen. And
There's been a number of those this year too.
if
There's
it-
one in the Niner game last night too.
yeah, if that continues, I think the NFL next year in their winter meetings or their owner meetings will need to heavily consider an additional review for the coaches that allow them one time a game to review a penalty. I think there needs to be something in there that allows them to go back and review whether it be a targeting penalty or a pass interference or roughing the passer or whatever it might be. I think that, and it's not ones, and I don't think it'll be for ones that are missed, but I think
No.
it should be for ones that were called that were questionable, where they can go back and review it and take the call away, especially if it's going to impact the game. Because if it continues the way it's going, those guys might as well take their pads off, because there's no reason that they should be playing football.
No, and it's just going to drive that's what most of the people watch the game for, is those big hits. And unfortunately, it's a dangerous game. You can't legislate the danger out of the game. It's just a part of it. And I think that breaking up the game, and it's all about making the games faster right now. Major League Baseball is trying to make the games faster. NBA basketball has cut down things to make the game go faster and not last as long. The NFL has been trying to do that too, but if you have a number of just worthless, stupid penalties, that's going to start taking the game away, and you're going to start seeing people lose interest in the NFL, and it's going to end up killing the game. You're already seeing a drop off in Pee-wee football and high school football with the number of players that are playing, and I think it's going to do the same thing to the NFL, where eventually you're going to not have enough quality players. You always have enough players to cover the league, but you're not going to have the quality players, and the level of the product is going to go down.
That's why we're going to have the XFL coming back soon.
XFL.
James says that you have a take on the Little League World Series.
I do?
I don't know, do you? That's what he said.
I don't know. Did we talk about this? I like the Little League World Series. I think it's fun. I don't know. I think I don't know. What's my take on the Little League World Series, James?
That's not good radio if you have him type it.
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Who's going to win the Little League World Series?
I don't know. Hawaii, maybe. That's what I want. I want to see the Hawaiians win.
How'd the
Very
team
fun.
from Northern California do? Wasn't there one for a little while?
Yeah, they lost to Hawaii in the finals of the Western Regionals.
So they had to win 2 games to get in. The Hawaii was the last one they needed.
Yeah,
That's
and they lost. They lost like 11 to nothing, so it wasn't even close. So I think the Little League World Series is fun. I think it might be a little bit too much to ask those guys to be professional baseball players for a week and a half, but overall, I think as long as you keep the parents out of it and you have good positive role models, which I think most of the teams that get that far, the coaches do a good job of being positive. I think it's fun. It's always kind of fun to see the major leaguers go back or find out who those major leaguers were that played in the Little League World Series.
right.
Todd Frazier is a big one this year that, he's coming back because they're playing tonight. It's the Cardinals and the Mets playing tonight in Springfield or wherever it is. And Todd Frazier was one of the Toms River, New Jersey teams that was really one of the first USA teams to come back and win the World Series after a long spell of foreign teams. And it's fun to see clips of him as a 12-year-old.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of cool.
The other thing, too, is
There you go.
what?
You just said, I guess I talked about what he was talking about.
The other thing that's coming up is for next weekend, we're not sure yet what we're doing for a show because we are doing our live draft. We may do a show. We may be able to do something from Buffalo Wild Wings. When I called and set up our draft, they had mentioned that they've gotten they've expanded their little perk boxes again. They've gotten, they've upgraded everything, including their in-store Wi-Fi has gotten better. So
cool.
There may be a better connection where we can look into doing something else. But but we'll kind of play that by ear. I know you're not available the morning of,
Not right now. I might be.
but so we'll play that by ear. It may just be a week off show, and then we'll do something to.
Maybe we'll just do a Facebook Live from Buffalo Wild Wings, either before or after the draft, or a couple of them. Just maybe preview and then.
Yeah,
afterwards.
we can break down the draft and talk a little bit about that. Do like a Q&A show, and
I can ask you what the fuck you were thinking about drafting a kicker in the third round.
exactly, Bradley Pinion, baby, let's go.
A
Thank you.
fucking punter.
Can't wait to get that thing dusted off.
What? Oh, when it's football season
Yeah.
again? Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. But yeah, that's it for our show this week. A lot of just debate and opinion topics.
I like it.
Kind of like what we've been liking a lot.
Yeah.
For Greg Baroza, I'm Greg Bull. Thanks to Tony Pacheco and Albert Chavez. Find their information on
And
our
Greg
website.
Baroza.
And Greg Baroza. Find their information on our
Thank you.
website if you're looking to buy a house, buy a car, or get a home loan refinanced. Until next week, we out.
Night,
Oh,
Larry.
we will do an NFL preview show either next week or the week after, before the NFL season kicks off.
Night, Larry.
Or good day. So long.